Okay, so I'm just going to go through this quick example here now. Okay, so as we can see, and we'll just concentrate on October for now, we've got a total revenue of £7,000 and then we've got a total expenses of 6,320. Okay, so we can do a few things to begin with. Okay, now what we need to figure out is we need to look at the net cash flow. Now, if you remember, net cash flow is the total revenue take away the total expenses. So here we've got that the revenue is greater than the expenses. Okay, so in actual fact, it is the difference is plus 680. Okay, so then we look at the other figures that we have. Okay, so we have £500 in the account as the opening bank balance. Okay, so on the 1st of October, we have £500 in the account. Okay, and then by the end of the month, we have a closing bank balance of 1,180. Now we've come to that figure because we have £500 at the start. Now during the month, we've had 7,000 go in, but 6,320 go out. Okay, so that's left us with 680. So we've added 500 to 680, which has left us with a closing bank balance of 1,180. So if you remember, the closing bank balance of 1,180 at the end of October means that it is the opening bank balance of the next month. So we can see that the closing bank balance for October is the same as the opening bank balance for November. In the same way that the closing bank balance for November, 110, is the same as the opening bank balance for December, which is also 110. Okay, well we looked at October, so let's have a look at November now. We can start to see problems because if we look at the total revenue, 7,000, our total expenses have gone up now to 8,070. So we now, our expenses, our outflows are much greater than our inflows. Okay, which means that during the month we have lost 1,070 in cash. Okay, so we look at our opening bank balance, which is 1,180. Okay, but we need to take away 1,070 because it's in brackets, and that leaves with a closing bank balance of 110. So that is where we start to see some potential issues. Okay, and we need to start thinking of what we might do to address this situation. Okay, because if we look at the net cash flow situation across all the months from October to March, we start to see that most months we're losing cash. So in November, we're losing 1,070 in cash. We're losing 70 in January in cash. We're losing 1,020 in February, and we're losing another 70 in the month of March. So really, there is an issue here where we have either not enough revenue or we have too many expenses. Okay, and then if we consider the closing bank balance on all these months, okay, it sort of starts out quite healthy, then drops down significantly, then raises quite a lot, but then at the end of the 6 months we are 270 in the red, so we are basically at minus 270. Okay, so there are things that we need to think about what we're going to do in order to address this situation. Okay, so we can do a multitude of things. Okay, so we can start with maybe trying to increase our revenue. Okay, we can look at from October to March that January and February are our difficult months. So we maybe want to look at trying to increase sales. Okay, or maybe increasing prices. Okay, or if we know it's only going to be short term, maybe we want to take out a loan in order to increase our revenue. Maybe. Okay. Then we look at maybe the issues across each month, in particular month where we end up having negative figures in our net cash flow. So we look at November, January and February. Okay, so we see that in January and February that we have got a real drop off in revenue. Okay, so we need to think about why we are spending so much on wages in months that we're not doing particularly well. Okay, so maybe we need to look at laying off a few staff or giving them fewer hours. Okay, maybe we need to look at what other costs we've got. So this £700 here in February is concerning as well. Okay, so what are these other costs? Okay, that we're having to pay that is really making it difficult for us to operate effectively. Okay, so these are things that we can do. We can also look at when people are paying. Okay, so maybe what's happened here in January and February is that customers are taking much longer to pay, as opposed to maybe they've paid straight away in October, November, December. We don't know that straight away, but that is something that we can do to address it. Okay. The next few slides really just outlines kind of stuff that I was talking about and looks at sort of addressing those problems. Okay. Okay, so we're looking at now interpreting the cash flows. Okay, so this is sort of going over the point a little bit, but it's just if businesses can sort of forecast what's likely to happen, then they can try and react to it before it's likely to happen. Maybe take out additional bank loan, increase prices, cut costs, and so on. Okay, because ultimately they don't want the businesses to close. Okay. And this can often come with experience, and often it's new businesses that struggle with cash flow problems. Okay, but with time and experience, you are able to try and avoid any cash flow problems that you might have. Now we look at how we can address the cash flow problems. Okay, so it could be an issue of inflows and sales not being the expected level. Okay, so it could be maybe increased competition, maybe the economic changes such as a recession or COVID-19. Maybe there's been more taxes or something like that, people unable to spend. Could be increased costs. Okay, maybe they've had more rent, they've had to pay more wages, the materials will cost more. Okay, but there could be other factors such as maybe people paying late, that you have predicted poorly, okay, and you haven't been able to control the spending. So this again is a slide on interpreting the cash flow situation, and a lot of the stuff that we've discussed already, okay, but this is outlined in writing, and you can maybe take your time to read the PowerPoint later on, but it does just sort of re-put the point that I was discussing before when I was going through the example. Okay. Okay, so these are just general ideas, okay, for solutions to cash flow problems, and these are already ones that I've discussed before. Now, in your exam, you may have to complete a cash flow, so it's important to understand how they're made up, but you're also maybe going to have to advise them how they're going to overcome some of these cash flow problems, okay? So you can do things like maybe increase their revenue, okay, so try and increase the amount they're selling, or by increasing prices, okay, but by increasing prices, then maybe it's going to be they're going to lose customers. They're going to look at reduced costs, okay, so maybe less wages, less materials, but that can maybe lead to less quality. They can look to delay their own payments, so costs are going out a lot later, okay. They can look at extra funding, maybe getting a bank loan, applying for grants, and so on. Okay. Now, how this impacts different stakeholders. Okay, so cash flows are really important for businesses to be able to predict and maybe plan what they're going to do. Investors and banks are going to want to have a look at it. Okay, to see if a business is going to have cash flow problems, then maybe you'll cease to run. So that means that people might not want to invest in your business, and banks aren't going to want to maybe give you a loan, or maybe a bank is going to want to have a look at a situation that they can take advantage of and say, well, we're going to give you a loan at this point because we can see that there's going to be a cash flow situation. Okay. Customers are going to be concerned about their cash flow because it might mean that if they buy some product from you and you can see that it's going to be a cash flow situation, you have to shut down, then maybe you're not going to want to put in orders. Okay, so I know, for example, I wanted to buy some jeans from Top Man over Christmas, and on that day I heard that they were having cash flow issues, so I didn't order. And the same way, I wanted to buy some new notebooks from Paper Chase, and it sounded like they were having cash flow problems, so I haven't made those orders. Okay. Suppliers, they're going to want to know that they're getting paid on time, so they're going to want to know that your cash flow situation is a positive one. Okay. So just to recap on what the work is I want you to go through the questions in your book. If you could leave a page to glue in the sheet, that would be great. Okay, and then answer the questions. And I also want you to complete the cash flow that is on the second page of the book that I've given you. Okay, thank you very much.